What's actually happening in the EU? Because I'm keen to, because there's a big push now. Is that something you can comment on?
Certainly, yesterday we had some very bad news in the EU. It wasn't totally unexpected because a very similar push that's been happening in New Zealand, and I am familiar with that push, has been happening in the EU now for several months, years actually. And the lobby, the GMO industry, they're also agrochemical firms, by the way, as well as being GMO seed firms. They've been lobbying now for a long time to deregulate GM, in particular the new genetically engineering techniques, gene editing in particular. And yes, they're trying to label it as non-GM because there actually was a very good court decision back in 2018 when the lobby first started saying, well, look, we think these new GMOs are not the same as old GMOs. They're great. They're not even GM, in fact. What happened was the case went to court. It went to the main court in Europe, and the European Court of Justice handed down a ruling in 2018 saying, actually, these new GMOs are GMOs. And the techniques give their genetic engineering techniques, they give rise to GMOs, and the risks could be similar to the risks of the old GMOs. And at that point, it was obvious that all the lobby could do was actually work to change the law. And that is what they've done ever since. And now the EU has more or less been bamboozled into allowing a deregulation of these new GMOs. And as a result, at the moment, it looks as if the position that the so-called rapporteur, which is the lady who is acting on behalf of the parliament, at least she pretends she's acting on behalf of the parliament, actually she's going against their express wishes because the parliament wanted to maintain traceability and labelling for all new GMOs. Risk assessment went a few months ago. They were left with traceability requirements and labelling. Parliament still wanted that. And this rapporteur has just ignored those demands. And she's gone ahead and negotiated on the basis that there won't be traceability and there won't be labelling of these GMOs for the consumer, and there won't be labelling beyond the seed stage. So in theory, at least, organic and conventional farmers can avoid planting GM seeds because they will be labelled with new genomic techniques or some other phrase that means GM, but they don't like to mention GM. And I consider this a huge betrayal of what citizens want, what conventional and organic farmers want.